When looking for someone to blame for bad movies and television, we often look at Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, Dave Filoni, the bosses at the top of the respective studios. We turn to them because they are the boss, and the buck should stop with them. The responsibility for both the good and the bad work should go to the person that's at the top, leading the charge for the entire team. So when things go wrong, we blame the leader at the top for getting things wrong. Love him or hate him, this is best personified in Donald Trump's The Apprentice. Of the two competing teams, if you were on the losing team and you were the project manager, there was an incredibly good chance that you would be fired. But I want to look at this from another lens. Instead of blind firing blame at Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni for the failings of Star Wars The Acolyte, who else is involved? I mean, sure, Leslye Headland is the showrunner, Dave Filoni is responsible for the Canon, but are there not writers in the writer's room that are also involved in this process? Is it not the writers that are at the foundational level of writing the screenplays that are used for them to make this crap? The power of many. We are so quick to blame the bosses of this aggressively mediocre writing. And it's all being done at a lower level on the totem pole. Hollywood is riddled in this mediocrity disease. It's not just the executives making foul decisions. It's not just the actors. It's not just the directors. It's the writers too. And many writers are writing from a place of distaste and disgust for you, the audience, and you, the viewer. I think too much blame is put on the actors and directors when projects fail. Sure, they're responsible and sure, they're involved, but you got to think an actor is just coming in to play the part of a character. Should they know it and should they know a little bit of the history? Absolutely. But do you think Robert Downey Jr. read every Iron Man comic before he played Iron Man? Maybe he did. The point I'm making is that it's not entirely mandatory. I can forgive the actor who plays Yord for mistakenly saying Anakin blew up the Death Star.
Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that?
Twice.
Anakin blowing up the Death Star.
Like a buffoon. I can forgive that because it's not his job to have memorized all of that lore. No, it's not entirely an actor or director's fault when something fails. I think instead, it's more along the lines of the writers. And in furthering the drama surrounding Star Wars The Acolyte, the writer of Episode 4 and allegedly Episode 5 has taken to X to answer the public. Surely nothing can go wrong here. Coming to us on X, Claire Kershell, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, I'm not good with names. The episode I wrote with Core Adana of The Acolyte premieres now. It has lightsabers, a forest planet, and this little cute guy. I'm sorry, I don't think he's cute at all. You don't have to scroll very long before you see this. Which loser decided to use, quote, pronouns? And response, it's obviously a joke about pronouns because she's referring to a strange little animal creature. Not sure the upset on this one.
That's puzzle. Is he or they with us?
Did the pronouns joke in episode 4 feel a little forced? Yes. Was it funny? No. And that's not to say anything about pronoun usage in Star Wars. There's many alien species that go by things other than he or she. Instead, it's the idea of this very forced joke that is a very modern day ism. It's a very modern day joke that is not going to age very well. You've just dated the Star Wars Acolyte show. If you go back and watch the original 6 Star Wars films, you're not going to find jokes in there that reference current day politics of the time. They are timeless films that will hold up to today because they are written to be timeless. This joke insertion of pronouns, the way that it's phrased and executed, is very clearly a commentary on 2024 politics. So it may have been a joke, but I don't know who's laughing. So you were one of the many bad writers. Okay, hopefully it's your last. Response, stay tuned for next week. Everyone knows Star Wars fans are incredibly volatile and mean-spirited, especially on the public forum online. In my many years of making content, the only times I've ever gotten death threats were from Star Wars fans that didn't share the same opinion as me. So in the slightest defense of Claire here, no, Claire doesn't deserve hatred and personal attacks. If you want to critique someone's job that they've done, that's one thing. Don't attack them personally. And while this comment didn't necessarily attack them personally, I just figured now would be a good time to point it out. It is not right to be attacking someone personally for the job they do, regardless of if it's Star Wars or not.
Yes, yes.
Now, the original tweet here is about Ki-Adi-Mundi and his inclusion in episode 4 of The Acolyte, but it's since been hidden and I don't have an original post of it. It's the response, however, that's important to me because it contributes to an idea that I shared on my video here breaking down the episode. He doesn't know anything about the Sith. Why would he? And we offered the part to Yoda, but he wasn't tech available, so a young Ki-Adi-Mundi stepped in for the part. The character shouldn't be alive. There are toys and merchandise that you have now retconned entirely, and the species that Ki-Adi-Mundi is from will now need to be rewritten to adjust for the time difference for how long this character and species can live. This tweet does, however, confirm my theory. There are too many dark side users in the world of Star Wars right now, and the Jedi don't actually perceive this as a Sith event. They should, and the Star Wars world used to be a binary light side and dark side, good versus evil, and ever since Disney has taken that over, all they have done is try to muddy that and take away that there are no true villains, and sometimes people are just misunderstood. It is absolutely a slippery slope to be making perspectives the villain of Star Wars. This is not Game of Thrones. It is Star Wars. There's a binary light and dark side, and that is how it should stay.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never.
This next one is pretty brutal. And we never got a chance to see the Wookiee Jedi fight. Shame on you. Response, unfortunately, not everything gets to be included for budget and story reasons. We had an early draft that showed his fight and death scene, but it ultimately broke the POV point of view of the episode in a way that I think wouldn't have worked well. Killing Kelnaka off screen, I didn't have much of a problem with. Was more concerned with the slash across the chest being the death blow when Disney Star Wars has done nothing but neuter the power of lightsabers over time. My problem with this tweet is the assertion that the budget constraints were your issues with this show. The budget for The Acolyte is $180 million. You could have done many Godzilla minus ones with that budget. And the reason we use Godzilla minus one as a metric is because of how amazing that movie was on such a low budget when you compare it to Hollywood standards. So at $180 million for this crap that we're getting in Star Wars The Acolyte, I don't believe you. Now, tying this together, I want to make it evidently crystal clear. I don't invite any hate or attacks on anyone involved with this show, let alone Claire here, who has been nice enough to actually answer some of these questions while being attacked for doing the job they were hired to do. Writing is not easy. I would never claim that it is. Writing is like music. All the characters are the different instruments that you pull together to a specific place to play specific notes at specific times to make your symphony. Unfortunately, Hollywood is tone deaf. If this video brought you any value at all, I'd invite you to subscribe to this channel, like the video on whatever channel it's on. If you didn't like what I had to say, I thank you for watching for this long. And until next time, create, innovate, and inspire. May the thread of destiny be with you. And for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus.